The last part of 8.2 is looking at converting from feet to yards when we're talking about area. So feet squared to yards squared, or one area to another area. So this is very similar to chapter 7 when we were talking about unit conversions. You have to be a little careful here. So let's say we had 450 feet squared and we wanted to get to yards squared. Well, this isn't exactly the same conversion as feet to yards. Now we're talking about square yards to square feet. And so we start, I'm just going to do this one again over here. We start with 450 feet squared. We remind ourselves that's a fraction by writing it over 1. We want the conversion to get to yards squared. So if you look at your formula sheet under conversion factors, this is English units of measure. So feet squared. So I'm looking at area, which is the second row down on my table. And it will tell you yards to, we're trying to get feet to yards. Oh, that second one there, 1 square yard is 9 square feet. Okay, so we want feet on the bottom, so they cancel out, feet squared on the bottom. We want yards squared on the top. So we have 1 square yard, 1 square yard to 9 square feet. Now, if we do our cancellation, you'll see we're going to be left with yards squared. So we do 450 divided by 9, which will give us 50 yards squared. So just be careful you don't do the general conversion from feet to yard. We have to think about that squared part because area converts a little bit differently because it's length times width. Okay, so we have a room that has dimensions 12 feet by 15 feet. Let's draw that. Okay, here's our room. So 12 feet by 15 feet. We want to know how many square yards of linoleum will be needed. Well, there's 2 ways to do this, really. We could convert those feet measurements right now into yards and then do width times length. The other way we could do it, let's calculate the area first. So we know area is base times height of a rectangle, or length times width, same thing, which is 15 feet multiplied by 12 feet. Okay, 15 times 12 gives us 180 feet squared. Okay, so now we know the square feet that would cover this room, but we need to know the square yards. So now we're going to go feet squared to yards squared. So now we have to do that conversion. So we've got 180 feet squared. I'm going to write that over 1. And then we're going to multiply by a conversion factor where feet squared are on the bottom, so they cancel, and yards squared are on the top. And that's that same one we used in the example up above. So it's 1 yard squared per 9 feet squared. Our square feet cancel, we're left with square yards. So 180 divided by 9, which gives me 20 yards squared. So 20 yards squared would be needed. Okay, so one last problem there. Pause this video, go ahead and try that one on your own. Okay, and let's do it together now. So we've got a hallway. Here's my hallway. Okay, and it's 27 feet long and 4 feet wide. So we want to know, once again, how many square yards of linoleum are needed to cover this hallway. So our area is going to be length times width, or base times height, which here is 27 feet by 4 feet. Okay, so 27 times 4 gives you 108. And its area, so it's feet squared. Now we're going to convert those square feet to square yards. So we have 108 feet squared We want to get to something where our square feet are going to cancel and we're left with square yards. So once again, that's that same conversion we used up above of 1 square yard to 9 square feet. It is on your formula sheet. And so it's going to be 108 divided by 9, which gives me 12. So 12, that's going to be in yards squared. So 12 square yards are needed.